Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Bible Podcast presented by Saint Church. My name's Caleb, and our hope is to help you study the Word of God every single day. Every day, we're taking time to upload episodes onto Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, where we are reading through a chapter of the Bible, looking at the context it was written in, and seeing what it has to say for us today. Today, we are going to be doing just that by continuing in our study through the book of 1 Kings by reading 1 Kings chapter 14. Now, really quick, really fast, if you end up enjoying it, take a second to like, subscribe, follow, and even consider leaving a rating on whatever platform you may be on. Now, with that being said, we're going to dive on in. Today, my voice is still pretty weak, so bear with me if there's a few moments where it sounds a little bit different or a little bit odd. But we're going to be diving in 1 Kings chapter 14, starting in verse 1. This is what the Word of God has to say today. It says this. At that time, Abijah, son of Jeroboam, became ill. And Jeroboam said to his wife, "Go disguise yourself so you won't be recognized as the wife of Jeroboam. Then go to Shiloh. Ahijah the prophet is there, the one who told me I would be king over this people. Take 10 loaves of bread with you, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you what will happen to the boy." So Jeroboam's wife did what he said and went to Ahijah's house in Shiloh. Now Ahijah could not see. His sight was gone because of his age. But the Lord had told Ahijah, "Jeroboam's wife is coming to ask you about her son, for he is ill, and you are to give her such and such an answer when she arrives. She will pretend to be someone else." So when Ahijah heard the sound of her footsteps at the door, he said, "Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why this pretense? I have been sent to you with bad news. Go tell Jeroboam that this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I raised you up from among the people and appointed you ruler over my people Israel. I tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to you. But you have not been like my servant David, who kept my commands and followed me with all his heart, doing only what was right in my eyes. You have done more evil than all who lived before you. You have made for yourself other gods, idols made of metal. You have aroused my anger and turned your back on me. Because of this, I am going to bring disaster on the house of Jeroboam. I will cut off from Jeroboam every last male in Israel, slave or free. I will burn up the house of Jeroboam as one burns dung until it is all gone. Dogs will eat those belonging to Jeroboam who die in the city, and the birds will feed on those who die in the country. The Lord has spoken. As for you, go back home. When you set foot in your city, the boy will die. All Israel will mourn for him and bury him. He is the only one belonging to Jeroboam who will be buried, because he is the only one in the house of Jeroboam in whom the Lord, the God of Israel, has found anything good. The Lord will raise up for himself a king over Israel who will cut off the family of Jeroboam. Even now this is beginning to happen, and the Lord will strike Israel so that it will be like a reed swaying in the water. He will uproot Israel from this good land that he has given to their ancestors and scatter them beyond the Euphrates River, because they aroused the Lord's anger by making Asherah poles. And he will give Israel up because of the sins Jeroboam has committed and has caused Israel to commit. Then Jeroboam's wife got up and left and went to Tirzah. As soon as she stepped over the threshold of the house, the boy died. They buried him, and all Israel mourned for him, as the Lord had said through his servant the prophet Ahijah. The other events of Jeroboam's reign, his wars, and how he ruled are written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel. He reigned for 22 years and then rested with his ancestors, and Nadab, his son, succeeded him as king. Rehoboam, son of Solomon, was king in Judah. He was 40 1 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem. The city of the Lord had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel in which to put his name. His mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite. Judah did evil in the eyes of the Lord. By the sins they committed, they stirred up his jealous anger more than those who were before them had done. They also set up for themselves high places, sacred stones and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every spreading tree. There were even male shrine prostitutes in the land. The people engaged in all detestable practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. In the 5th year of King Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, attacked Jerusalem. He carried off the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasures of the royal palace. He took everything, including all the gold shields Solomon had made. So King Rehoboam made bronze shields to replace them and assigned these to the commanders of the guard on duty at the entrance to the royal palace. Whenever the king went to the Lord's temple, the guards bore the shields, and afterward they returned them to the guard room. As for the other events of Rehoboam's reign and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? There was continual warfare between Rehoboam and Jeroboam, and Rehoboam rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite, and Abijah, his son, succeeded him as king. And that is the close of 1 Kings chapter 14. Now, in this chapter, what we are starting to see is the back and forth nature of the rest of the book of 1 Kings, where we will be reading about the king of Israel and then the king of Judah, seeing how these kings ultimately have times of overlap and they have events that take place that affect each of their nations differently. What we see in this chapter in particular is that both Jeroboam and Rehoboam have done evil things in the eyes of God. That Solomon, at the start of all of this, had done evil things in the sight of God. That God looked and said that he would divide the nation, and then not just dividing the nation, he gave them a chance to honor him, and they didn't. So he looks and he is removing his favor from the nation. Because again, what did the Lord ask of the people of Israel and the people of Judah? He asked that they would love him. That was it. That they would love him and they would serve him and they would seek after him. And they did not do that. They did not choose to honor the Lord. And again, there's times that we look at past books of the Old Testament where the Lord spoke of the need of them to drive people out of the land, to not intermarry or things like that. And again, it was never an issue of ethnic differences or racial differences. It was an issue of worship. With Rehoboam, we read right there, it keeps noting the fact that his mother was an Ammonite, that his mother was someone who worshiped what? Who worshiped different gods. So Rehoboam led the people of Judah to worship different gods. Jeroboam's sin was also the same. He went and he made idols that the people of Israel worshiped instead of God. This became an issue of worship. We have to realize that God is not just asking for a nation that would have certain political standings or ways of operation. He wants a people who will choose to worship, who will worship rightly, who will honor him and seek after him. And all the surrounding nations had an understanding of worship when it came to their political efforts, that their things, the things that they did were actions done with worship in mind, because their nation was not only seeing victory, but their gods were seeing victory. So the Lord desired for this with his people in Judah and in Israel. And again, what we see in this chapter is that they didn't do it. So again, you might look at some of the words that the Lord shared here and say, those are really harsh. They're harsh because it's the Lord saying, you have not chosen relationship with me, so you don't get my favor. You don't get my blessing in the same way because you've rejected me. Now, for us today, I think that we should look at this as a good warning. Jeroboam was told by the Lord that because of Solomon's unfaithfulness, he was going to get to rule. He was going to have a chance to lead. And Jeroboam took that for granted. He took it for granted. He thought, well, simply because the Lord has told me I will have opportunity, I must be blessed. Well, he wasn't, because you still have to honor the Lord and walk with him. For us today, we must make sure if God has told us something, it's not something that we then just get to run with ourselves. It is not simply that we get to go and live however we desire, but rather the Lord saying that he is going to bless us in a certain way, that he is going to do things on our behalf in a certain way. Those things are for the sake of us getting to fully pursue after the Lord, to seek after him, to seek his face and see more clearly who he is. So friends, today I encourage you, do not take the blessings of the Lord as your own, but take them as a sign of relationship, as something that God is calling us towards, and make sure that you honor him still every step of the way. Now, with that being said, my voice is continuing to go out, so thank you for bearing with me as you probably had to endure some poor sounding moments in this podcast. But if you found it beneficial, take a second to like, subscribe, follow, leave a rating. It's so appreciated. If you got any questions, leave them down below. But thank you for jumping on today, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow as we continue to study the Word of God every single day.